An AI manager just recommended firing a human employee. And yes, this actually happened at a real store in San Francisco. The employee had been late for 17 out of 23 shifts. 17 out of 23. So eventually, the AI looked at the situation and recommended letting the employee go. Now, just think about that for a second. AI can help hire people, AI can manage work, and apparently, AI can now help decide when somebody should lose their job. But here's the strange part. The AI manager, Luna, had actually helped create the store's attendance policy, and then it basically lost track of its own rule. Humans had to prompt it to go back, search its memory, and reconsider what had happened. And that's where this story stops being just an interesting AI headline. Because the real question isn't whether AI can make a recommendation, it's how much authority we're actually willing to give it. And that's a much bigger management question than it sounds. Because AI can be very good at analyzing something and still be the wrong thing to make the final call. Think about it. We already trust AI to summarize information. We let it draft, we let it compare options, we even ask it what it thinks we should do. And that's fine. But somewhere along the way, recommendation can quietly turn into authority. That's the boundary managers need to see. So I use a simple way to think about it. The AI decision rights ladder. 4 levels: prepare, recommend, human approval, and human owns. The higher the consequence, the more carefully you should think about moving that decision back toward a human. And one important thing before we go through the ladder, these are not 4 steps every workflow has to follow. They're 4 different levels of authority you can choose to give AI. So let's start at the bottom. Prepare. This is the easy one. AI gathers the information. It organizes it, summarizes it, maybe creates a first draft. Imagine you're getting ready for an employee performance discussion. You've got attendance records, goals, feedback, notes from previous conversations, all sitting in different places. Let AI pull that together. Honestly, that's a great use of AI. It saves time, it gives you a clearer picture, and nobody has handed over an important decision. Now move up 1 level. Recommend. This is where AI starts saying, here's what I think you should do. Maybe coaching, maybe more training. Okay, now things get more interesting. Level 3, human approval. Here, AI can prepare the work. It can recommend what should happen. It may even be completely capable of taking the action itself, but we deliberately make it stop. A human has to say yes. Imagine an AI agent handling customer service. It sees a service failure and recommends a $450 credit. That feels reasonable. Let the AI calculate it. Let it prepare everything. But before $450 actually leaves the company, someone clicks approve. Simple. That's the boundary. Now, level 4 is different. Human owns. And this is where I think managers have to be very careful. AI can still help you. A lot. It can organize evidence, spot patterns, challenge your assumptions, maybe even give you a recommendation you hadn't considered. But the final judgment stays with a person. Terminating an employee, promoting someone, making a major compensation decision, serious disciplinary action, safety, legal risk. Those decisions don't just complete a workflow. They create consequences for people. And when the consequence is significant, somebody needs to be able to say, I made that decision, and I own what happens next. So now, let's put Luna on this ladder, because this is where the story gets really useful. Could Luna collect the employee's attendance history? Of course. That's prepare. Could it compare those records against the attendance policy and spot the pattern? Absolutely. Still prepare. Now, could it look at the pattern, consider the previous warnings, and say, maybe termination should be considered? Sure, that's recommend. But actually deciding that somebody loses their job? That's a different category, and that's where human owns comes in. Here's what I find interesting. The Andon experiment actually kept that boundary. Luna recommended. Humans reviewed. Humans made the final call. And humans carried out the termination. So this isn't really a story about AI proving it can fire people. It's a story about how easily AI assistants can start to feel like AI authority. And once AI can actually take actions, not just give answers, that distinction becomes much more important.
And this goes way beyond HR. Picture your Monday morning leadership meeting. 12 different project updates, different teams, different priorities, a couple of problems nobody mentioned until Friday afternoon. You know the drill. AI can take all of that, organize it, surface the risks, and prepare a clean leadership brief. Perfect. Let it. But now imagine the AI looks at those same risks and says, we should delay the product launch. Okay, that's different. The information may be the same. The AI may be the same, but the consequence of the decision just went up. So human judgment matters more. Now take customer service. AI sees that we messed up an order and recommends a refund. Makes sense. But what if the AI can also send the money, change the customer's contract, promise a new delivery date on behalf of the company? Now we're not just talking about intelligence anymore. We're talking about authority. Same AI, same capability, very different decision rights. And that's why simply saying we're using AI in this workflow doesn't tell me nearly enough. I want to know what AI is allowed to prepare, what it's allowed to recommend, what requires a human yes, and what a human still has to own.
And here's the part that worries me more than AI suddenly going rogue. It's much less dramatic. Nobody is completely sure who has the authority. Picture a team using an AI agent every day. At first, it's just gathering information. Then it starts recommending what to do. Then somebody gives it permission to handle a few routine actions. Everything is working, so naturally, people give it a little more room. And a little more. Until one day, something happens that nobody expected. A customer gets a commitment you didn't intend to make. A financial decision goes through that somebody thought needed approval. Or an employee is affected by a decision everyone assumed somebody else had reviewed.
And then comes the uncomfortable question. Wait, who actually made that decision? That's the risk. Not necessarily that AI gives you a terrible recommendation. Sometimes its recommendation might be excellent. The risk is that capability, authority, and accountability slowly start blending together. And nobody notices the boundary disappeared until something goes wrong.
So let me leave you with something very practical. Pick one workflow where your team is already using AI, just one, and finish this sentence. AI may, but this must be approved or owned by. That's it. For example, AI may prepare the performance summary and recommend coaching actions, but disciplinary decisions are owned by the manager. Or AI may recommend a customer refund, but refunds above $500 need a manager's approval. Simple. Now everyone knows the boundary. And more importantly, everyone knows who owns the decision. Because as AI gets more capable, I don't think the manager's job becomes less important. I think it changes. You don't just manage the work anymore. You manage the authority around the work. And that means deciding what AI is allowed to do, where it has to stop, and where a human still needs to say, this decision is mine. If you're figuring out how to lead teams as AI becomes part of the work, subscribe to AgenticWave. That's exactly what we're working through here.